Hey guys, welcome back. So in this video, we're going to be working with the third problem in the Leetcode set of problems. That's called longest string, substring without repeating characters. And basically what we want to do is, given a string, we just want to find the longest substring that doesn't have any repeating characters. So if we look at this example over here, ABC is the longest substring you can get in this string without repeating characters. And so since the length of that substring is 3, we would return a 3. If we look at this one over here with all B's, since it's all B's, we can only go essentially one letter without the letter being repeated. So we would return a length of 1. And then this is just another example. And so we're going to code this up in Python, and I copied it into a Google Doc over here. So if you guys want, pause the video and try it on your own. But if you guys have any trouble, definitely come back and we'll work through it together. So the first thing I want to do is I want to initialize a variable called longest length to 0. So this is going to hold the length of the longest substring that we find. And then what I'm also going to do is I'm going to say for I in range len s. This is going to loop through every single letter in our string. And the very first thing I'm going to do within this for loop is I'm going to check to make sure that if the longest length is greater than the length of the string that we're on, of the rest of the string, then we can just return the longest length. So that hypothetically, if for example we found that our longest substring was about 5 letters long, and we were starting to look at the rest of the string starting at the C or something like that, then since our length of the longest substring is already longer than the rest of the word, we can just return the longest length, because we know even if you go perfect from that point onwards in our string, we're not going to get a longer length, and so we don't really have to run through those iterations then. And the next thing I'm going to do is, first I'm going to create a dictionary called scene, and this dictionary is going to hold the letters that we've already seen in our little substring. And then what I'm going to say, I'm going to initialize another variable called j, and I'm going to initialize it with whatever I is, so that when we loop through the letter, we can just use j instead of I and just really leave I alone. And lastly, what I'm going to say is while j is less than len s, so while j is less than the length of our string, and sj, so while that letter is not in scene, I'm going to add to our scene dictionary by passing in the key value, which is going to be the letter, and passing in 1 just for saying that we saw this string once, or this letter once. And then I'm going to increment j so that we keep looping through our string. And at the very end, I'm going to say if the length of our scene dictionary is greater than our longest length, we are going to say that our longest length is equal to our len scene. So this is pretty self-explanatory. We're just saying that if the length of our dictionary is longer than our previous longest length, we're just going to replace what our longest length is. And then at the very end, we're just going to return the longest length. So I believe this should be it for coding up this function. What I'm going to do now is code it up in here, and we'll run a couple test cases, and then we'll hit submit and see how we do. So I said the longest length is equal to 0, and then we said for I in range len s, if the longest length is greater than len of the string, remember to have this colon at the very end because this indicates like to go through the rest of the string. If that's true, we're just going to return the longest length. If not, we're going to say create a dictionary, create another variable so that we can loop through the rest of our string, and we'll say while j is less than len s and s of j not in C. We're going to say add to our C dictionary, and then we're going to increment our j if our len C is greater than our longest length. And at the very end, we're just going to return the longest length. I just want to make sure, yeah, equals. So if we look at our console, and we have this string right here, that's this first case. If we run this, hopefully we should get the right answer, and we do, we get 3. And so I'm just going to run a couple other test cases. The first test case I'm going to run is just a single letter A. Let's see how that goes. We get 1, and I'm just going to copy this one over, and we'll return. We'll see how that goes as well, and then we'll hit submit, hopefully, if this does it right. So we get 1. So now I'm just going to hit submit, and we'll see how it goes. So it looks like we did it. Not the best statistics. Let's try running it one more time to see if we get something different. Okay, so we ran it, and these are the statistics that we get. Of course, you guys can try to make it a little more efficient if you can find ways to make the code a little more efficient. But that essentially is how we can code up this length of longest substring function. Hopefully this helps you guys, and see you guys in the next one. All right, later.